More bad news for the VA. The controversial memorial is removed, plus a customer service call from hell. All of these stories and more coming up on the Rundown.
All right, stand by. 10 seconds.
Ready, camera, to record. 3, 2, 1.
Record.
Thanks so much for joining us. This is the Rundown, where you never know if Stephen Kruiser is going to say something that needs to be bleeped. I'm your host, John Phillips. Joining us from Washington, D.C. is PJTV contributor Michelle Fields, and joining us in studio, Andrew Dice Kruiser, PJTV contributor, stand-up comic. Now it's time to go to the top of the Rundown, and Michelle, you're up first.
At the top of my rundown, bogus claims at the VA. Whistleblowers testified to Congress this week about a huge backlog of claims from disabled veterans. They also said claims were shredded and there was pressure to get through the backlog as soon as possible. This resulted in some veterans getting shut out of benefits, and some workers say their managers are morally bankrupt who had no problem manipulating the data to win bonuses. So they're trying to get rid of this backlog, and so there's a ton, millions of dollars just being sort of thrown away because now there are a bunch of people, predators, who are trying to take advantage of the chaos and disorganization in the VA and are filing fraudulent claims and getting money. So the VA is overall just one huge mess. John, does this surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me, but I'll tell you what upsets me here. It upsets me that the American public has the attention span of a gnat. It's this big. And this was a big story for some time, and we spent a lot of time talking about it. The administration took a hit in their poll numbers, and this became an election year issue in some primary races around the country. But if you don't stay on this, they're not going to fix it. They're going to put a Band-Aid on the problem, and they're going to say, we're doing what we need to do to get it in order, but it's not going to happen unless we keep the pressure on, and that's really our job, isn't it, Kruiser?
Yes, it's the public's job. We need to elect people who keep paying attention. We got a couple on the Hill who are still going after this, but Republicans would do well to remember this in the future, too, when Democrats start talking about federal intervention to help, because this is not an anomaly. This is what happens in bureaucracies every single time when they're trying to help. The people they are supposedly trying to help become secondary to what it looks like bureaucratically, what the numbers look like. Their priority there was to fudge the numbers to make sure the next review looked good and not to help the people. This happens all the time in these massive federal bureaucracies. It happens in England's healthcare system all the time. The data manipulation to make it look like it's better than it really is happens. It's a fact of the way they do business.
All right, Kruiser, take it away.
Top of my rundown, Elizabeth Warren's trip to West Virginia and places beyond. She was there to campaign for Senate hopeful Natalie Tennant. Tennant thought it was worth the risk to ask Warren for her endorsement despite her anti-coal fervor. Elizabeth Warren may be the new king or queen maker in the Democratic Party right now. Tennant is a long shot candidate, and she's a very conservative, moderate Democrat. But really, in this election cycle, the only coveted endorsement on for the Dems right now is Elizabeth Warren. She's been to other states already endorsing people. People are fleeing the president. They don't want him there. Claire McCaskill said if she were running Claire McCaskill, of all people, said if she were running this year, she wouldn't want Barack Obama anywhere near her. And nobody, if you ask Hillary, nobody wants Hillary's endorsement right now. So is this just vanity on Pocahontas's part, or is she, as I've been saying all along, prepping for a run at the presidency?
Well, this is the thing, and this is what makes her a threat to Hillary, and this is the reason why she's being invited by conservative Democrats like Natalie Tennant to come campaign on her behalf. Elizabeth Warren is a leftist, yes. Is she a liberal? Yes. Is she from Massachusetts? Yes. Was she a teacher at Harvard? Yes. But she's also a populist. Mm-hmm. And left-wing populism sells in red state America. Okay. Those are the Democrats that win. Look at Tom Harkin in nearby Iowa there. He's a big-time populist. Look at the type of Democrats, even historically, that have done well in the South. Huey Long was a big-time populist, and he was the guy that he was the big kingfish down in Louisiana. So it's not surprising to me that even conservative Democrats like Natalie Tennant want Elizabeth Warren to campaign there. But this is what makes Elizabeth Warren a threat to Hillary. Hillary is the establishment. If Joe Biden were to run, he would be the establishment Democrat. There will be a populist challenger. Whether or not it's Elizabeth Warren, nobody knows at this point. But that's the line that they're going to take. And you can see, even in states where Barack Obama isn't welcome, where the establishment Democrats aren't welcome, the populist Democrats, who are even farther to the left than Obama, are welcome because they think that that's what's going to sell next time around, even this year.
I had a tough one for you here, Michelle. You know, so much of Elizabeth Warren's story when she ran for Senate was fabricated, and we all laughed and laughed and laughed, and Pocahontas this and everything, and then she still won easily. And people now, when you talk about her as a presidential candidate in 2016, most of the Republican electorate is still dismissive of her. They don't take her seriously. Why is it no one's learning that you can be ridiculous from the far left and still win?
Yeah, well, I think they're obviously underestimating her because they just think that Hillary Clinton is a sure thing. But if Hillary Clinton chooses not to run for whatever reason, I think Elizabeth Warren is going to step in. And if Hillary does run, I don't think Elizabeth will step in. I really don't. I do think Elizabeth Warren can win a Democratic, can win the nomination. I do not think she can win a general election because the people that she appeals to are people who are really far to the left, which makes her perfect for a candidate that's running in the November elections, because the people who tend to go out and vote during the November elections, midterm elections, tend to be people who are diehard Republicans, diehard Democrats, and they tend to be more extreme. So these are sort of Elizabeth Warren's people. So it makes sense that she's sort of the rock star of the midterm elections right now. Everybody wants her because she's the far left candidate.
I want to expand on something Michelle just said there. She said if Hillary doesn't run, then Elizabeth Warren gets in. I don't think Hillary has any impact at all on what Elizabeth Warren does because they don't occupy the same space in the Democratic primary. Hillary, again, is the establishment. Elizabeth Warren is the populist. And that's the way it's going to break down in the Democratic primary. Whether it's Hillary and Elizabeth Warren or two different people, could be Joe Biden and Dennis Kucinich for all we know. But I think that's the way it's going to break down. I think you're going to have the establishment and the anti-establishment. Well,
it's true that I drink, but I do kind of believe that she's being sincere right now when she says she doesn't want to run. I think what's going to happen is what so often happens in American politics is the money is going to start to grow behind her, and that pressure will push her into it.
Barack Obama said he wasn't going to run. Pete Wilson, after he was reelected in California, said he wasn't going to run for president. Nobody goes into it saying they aren't going to run. Yeah. They want to make it seem like, oh, there was such a call for me to run that I had to change my mind. And now it's time to move to the top of my rundown, where a memorial for a cop killer has been taken down in New Jersey. The mayor ordered the city to take it down. The memorial, which included photos, flowers, and, this is very classy, empty liquor bottles, went up after Lawrence Campbell was shot and killed by a rookie police officer. The cops say Campbell gunned down and shot the officer before other officers returned fire, killing him. And Kruiser, to me, this is appalling, that in some circles of this country, cop killers are valued more than police officers, especially police officers that are gunned down in the line of duty, trying to keep these people safe.
Thank American leftist celebrities for that, because this has been going on since the guy in Philadelphia.
Mumia.
Mumia. They love the cop killers. They glorify the cop killers, and they always try to pretend, you know, even when everyone else around says, no, that's not exactly how it went down. There's some kind of anti-establishment fervor that they get going, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It is repugnant, and kudos to the mayor.
Michelle, why is it that any law enforcement union, and many of them endorse Democrats when they run for mayor, when they run for city council, when they run for governor, why is it that these unions keep endorsing these candidates that represent these districts where their constituents, their voters, hate the cops' guts, and they always hang the cops out to dry? Whenever there's a dispute like this, these politicians and these communities always get behind the cop killers instead of the cops. Why do the cops endorse the Democrats? Why do they keep taking that abuse?
I have absolutely no idea. But look, are there corrupt cops in America? Of course. There are corrupt people in every single industry. But does that represent every single person who's a police officer? Absolutely not. But there is this culture in certain parts of America where they glorify people who kill cops. Yet, if they have a problem, something happens at their home, what's the first thing they do? They call 911 for help. It's ridiculous. And I understand there are corrupt cops, there are bad cops, and maybe they've had situations where they've dealt with a bad cop, but that's not these cops as an entire whole. I mean, that's not how all of them are.
I can tell you this. I don't know how they get anyone to be a police officer these days. Where you patrol an area like this, you risk your life, you give your life to keep these people safe, and then all of a sudden you get shot and killed, and they all show up to cheer on the guy that killed you. I don't know. I don't know how they do it. All right, now it's time to move on to Zero or Hero. This is where we highlight a person or group for something good or bad. Kruiser, you're up first.
My zero is Oscar Pistorius, the Paralympic athlete. Got into a brawl at a nightclub in Johannesburg over the weekend. Pistorius is on trial in South Africa for the murder of his girlfriend. The fight broke out when a man seen on the left side of this picture asked Pistorius about the case. Pistorius was drunk and aggressive, and the man pushed Pistorius, who fell into a chair. Club bouncers came to break up the fight. Now, Pistorius was in the VIP section of the club, so he says he shouldn't have been disturbed by the guy. This guy's on trial. First, he tried to say he was crazy. Now he's trying to say he's a broken man. If you're on trial for heinously killing your girlfriend and you're trying to get the public sympathy on your side, maybe don't go to a nightclub and sit up in the public, in the VIP section. It's a real boneheaded move, which kind of makes the case that he is an entitled, spoiled, like they've been saying all along, when, you know, he just snapped and killed her because he thought he could get away with it.
Well, when you hear Pistorius' side of the story, he just doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Ba-dum-bum.
There you go. All right, my zero.
One groan from Michelle. At least it's been a while. We've been slow lately.
Well, you know what I call Heather Mills McCartney?
What?
Stumpy McGolddigger. The leg fits. All right, my zero. 4 teens, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4, who dropped an 8-pound rock from an overpass, critically injuring an Ohio woman. The teens have all been charged with assault. Sharon Budd remains in critical condition, and her family hopes that she'll regain consciousness. She was struck in the face by the rock, as she and her family took a trip to New York City. The rock was dropped from a Pennsylvania overpass and slammed through the windshield on the passenger side of the car, right where she was seated. And let me tell you, I know teenagers do stupid things, and I know they thought it was funny, and they probably didn't think about injuring someone, at least to this degree. And I wouldn't cut them any slack. This poor lady was just going on a vacation with her family, and now she's half dead because these teenagers decided that they'd have some fun with rocks in her car.
That's not assault. They should be charged with attempted murder.
Absolutely. She dies, murder.
Yeah, and if you're messing with, you know, vehicles going at high speed and you're trying to interfere with that, that's attempted murder.
Somebody actually did this to my car, Michelle, but it wasn't that big of a rock. It was a smaller rock, and it cracked the windshield, and it scares the living heck out of you when it happens. I mean, I can only imagine what her family must have felt as they're just driving in the car, and all of a sudden mom gets hit in the coconut by a rock, goes through the windshield.
Yeah, I don't think they should cut these kids any slack. I mean, they knew what they were doing. It was stupid, yes, but they almost killed a woman, and she may die. I mean, they should absolutely be tried as adults.
All right, Michelle, what do you have for us?
My hero is a tech journalist for bringing attention to how awful Comcast is. Ryan Block and his wife were trying to cancel their Comcast service over the phone last week. 10 minutes into the frustrating call, he decided to start recording it. He then posted it on SoundCloud for the world to hear. Take a listen to a portion of that call.
By the end of next week, you're going to be 105 megabits per second for your internet. Astound will not give you that speed.
Okay, we'd like to disconnect. We'd like to disconnect, please.
Okay, so why is it that you don't want the faster speed? Help me understand why you don't want faster internet.
Help me understand why you can't just disconnect us.
Because my job is to have a conversation with you about keeping your service, about finding out why it is that you're looking to cancel the service.
I don't understand. Is this
if
for,
you don't want to
like...
talk to me, you can definitely go into the Comcast store and disconnect your service there. Okay.
We are just asking for you to
kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You got to return that cable card to the store anyways.
We're actually going to just mail the cable card in, but if you can just please cancel our service, that would be great. That's all. That is all we want.
We're actually not able to return a cable card by mail.
Then I will send someone like a TaskRabbit to go return the cable card for us. I don't personally intend to go return the cable card. That's why we're probably not going to be canceling in store. So that's why I need you to cancel by phone. So can you cancel us by phone? The answer is yes, correct?
I mean, it sounds like you don't want to go over this information with me. I mean, if you're not wanting to go over that information, okay, then that's the easiest way to get your account disconnected.
I am declining to state why we are leaving Comcast because I don't owe you an explanation. So if you can please just proceed to the next question. If you have to fill out your form, that's fine. Please proceed to the next question, and we'll attempt to answer that if possible.
Right. So, I mean, being that we are the #1 provider of internet and TV service in the entire country, okay, why is it that you're not wanting to have the #1 rated internet service, #1 rated TV service available?
I'm declining to state we're switching providers. Can you please go to the next question?
Okay. So what is it about us towns that's making you want to change to them?
I'm declining to state. Can you please go to the next question so we can cancel our service?
This is not surprising at all. Comcast is what I have in my area. It has a monopoly in my area, so I actually don't have any other option. So they are very rude and unhelpful because they know I have no other option when I call. And here at the PJ Studio in DC, we unfortunately have Comcast as well and have to deal with them. So this was not surprising. Have you guys ever had horror stories like this dealing with customer service?
Yes. Try to cancel Sirius satellite radio. I bought a car, it came with the car for 6 months, then you have to call and you have to cancel after 6 months. It must have been 20 minutes of just answering these questions. There's got to be a script that they're going on because I just said, I don't want it, get rid of it. Nope, sorry, we got to go through the script. We have more questions to ask you. So this isn't a rogue guy, this is their policy.
You could interchange most cable internet providers in America for Comcast in there, and people have had the same thing happen because, as Michelle said, they know they've got you. Your options are limited, especially when it comes to cable. You know, people say, well, you can go get a satellite TV. Not everybody can. Not all buildings are, you know, if you're in an apartment or anything. But if I ever run for office, it's going to be on the platform that I will provide more choice in internet and cable service, and I will be the Internet Cable Unity Party candidate.
All right, that's going to do it for today's show. I'll get the campaign bumper stickers ready to go. Have you had trouble canceling your cable service? If so, we want to know about it. Make sure to leave your comments in the comments section below. I'm John Phillips for Stephen Kruiser joining me here in Los Angeles and Michelle Fields in the nation's capital. Thanks so much for watching The Rundown.